organization, we are delighted to have you with us today. We are also delighted to have with us on stage some valued partners for the Green Technology Book, including the Egyptian Academy of Scientific Research and Technology, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Lead It, and 4 companies who have developed actual climate change mitigation solutions. We will use our time together today also to launch the Climate Change Mitigation edition of the Green Technology Book. This is a partnership among WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, CTCN, ASRT, and a number of reviewers. And this year's edition focuses on cities, agriculture and land use, and industry, specifically the steel and cement industries. And the book is all about available solutions that are implementable now to support member states, businesses, the UN technology mechanism, and cities to take action towards their commitments. So speakers, fair warning, my main role today is to keep everyone on time because we have such a packed agenda that is very rich in information and in participants, so I will be strict but friendly. And now, without further ado, I will hand over to Mr. Murali Tumakura-Kurdi, who is the director of the G20 Global Land Initiative. Over to you, Murali.
Thank you, Chair, and also for mentioning that you'll be very friendly. I went to I have been chairing many sessions, and one of the challenges is always to keep time, and we use all type of techniques. I went to Stanford University a couple of years back, just before COVID, and they had a bell which sounded like a dog barking, and the time goes up, the sound increases, and suddenly everyone acts, and I have been looking for that ever since. Now, we are from the UNCCD, the G20 Global Land Initiative, which is based in Bonn, Germany. And we have been mandated by the G20 in 2020 to achieve 50% reduction in land degradation by 2040. And when we initiated our work, we had this conventional sort of paradigm that the land is degrading globally. The forests are degrading, agricultural land is degrading, mining is degrading land, and therefore the people who live off that land are migrating away from that place, and they're migrating to cities, and they're crossing the borders, and that's causing conflict. And therefore, we should improve the land quality, therefore the people will stay there, and everyone will be happy. And that's the task I was given, and that's the framing I was given. And then I was thinking myself, when I grew up in a village, farming, I migrated, and I am now sitting here and talking to you not because I was digging and farming in my place, which if the land was fine, probably I would have done that. So to try to tell people that you should not migrate, and because your father was a farmer, your grandfather was a farmer, your mother was farming, that you should stay in that village and do farming, while those people in the city would do artificial intelligence and robotics, I thought it was completely wrong. In my personal case, it would be hypocritical to do that as well. Now, the question which I was then asking is that how do we turn it around? And how do we tell those people who are in the cities, who are in the universities, who are doing modern technology, and say that land is the exciting thing. Land is where you can make money. Land is where you can create startups. And that was the starting point of our journey into innovation and technology. I am part of the ITU working group on AI for Good. And here we look at all the modern technologies and see how they can be leveraged for land restoration. So our current business model is not to keep the poor people in poverty in their villages wedded to their land, but to go to universities, go to agricultural universities, go to mining institutions, go to forestry institutions, go to artificial intelligence universities, go to computer scientists, go to business schools, and tell them that there is a new economy emerging for land restoration. And that economy will be $1 trillion economy because there are 1 billion hectares to be restored. And an average cost of 1,000 will be $1 trillion. If you want to be part of that, get into modern technology and focus the technology on the land. So we are extremely delighted to partner with WIPO and other partners to promote technology as a means of achieving land restoration. And I wish this session all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Murali. Now we move to a session where the Green Technology book will be presented by Mr. Peter Oxen, Green Technology and Research Manager with WIPO Green, Mr. Rajiv Garg, Director ad interim at CTCN, and Professor Mahmoud Sakar, President of the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology of Egypt. So it's my great pleasure now to hand over to Peter.
Thank you, Amy. So yes, we are very happy to be able to show you today as a launch the second edition of the Green Technology book. And I will go really fast. I'll go through what it actually is and why we do it. It links up very well to what Mr. Murali was just talking about. Land degradation, desertification is a very serious issue. There's a lot of money that has to be spent on it. Technology actually has some of the solutions for it, and many of those solutions can be found in this publication also. First, who we are. We are from World Intellectual Property Organization. It's one of the 16 UN specialized agencies. We are based in Geneva. And basically what we have been doing since 1967 is to manage around 23 international agreements on making the intellectual property system work for the best of innovation and for development of solutions. Now, in WIPO Green, we have a very small unit called WIPO Green. This is where we are from, and some of the colleagues here. And what we do there is to promote deployments of green technology, of innovation, to respond to some of the global challenges. And those global challenges are climate change, food security, and the environment. So we are kind of matchmaking platform. We try to in a very practical way to bridge the gap between the ones who are needing a solution and the ones who actually has the solution. So therefore we also work a lot with the private sector, of course, where many of the solutions are. And we're very happy today here also to have represented some of these technical solutions who will tell us about what they do. Now, technology and climate change has been discussed a lot ever since the whole debate on climate change started and what it can do. For us, where we, from the point of view of innovation and technology innovation ecosystems, we definitely see that there is a role for innovation and technology to do. And one of the reasons for that is that climate change touches on all economic sectors. It's society-wide, it's all biomes, it's all different climate zones, and it's basically everywhere, and we all have to do a lot on it. So in relation to technology, when we talk about climate change, it's global, it's so varied, the impact is so different in different places, and the mitigation is also touching all aspects of economy. And therefore, there's not just one or two game-changing solutions or technologies that can be put in place, but in contrary, we need thousands of solutions collected around that. Is already quite heavy. There's about 200 in there, but I'll talk about where the rest are and where you can find them. It has been quite popular since we launched it. We have had almost 1 million, and when I say 1 million, we are actually close by 8,000 at the moment to having 1 million unique visitors to the site, because this is a digital publication first. And actually 92% of the people who visit our website do it from a mobile phone, so it's to have. So it has been downloaded 26,000 times already. And most of the visitors and the downloads are from developing countries. For some reason, India, and maybe it's because the first was an adaptation, I don't know, we will see. It's completely free, it's digital, it's a source of inspiration, it's a matchmaking to make it in some areas, but there is a lot of innovation. So we thought we would take a grounded, critical look at what is out there, try to understand what actually looks feasible. We can't test this stuff, we don't have the ability to that, but we look very carefully as we look. So we also try through that to analyze a little bit on what's going on, what technologies are coming up, what looks promising, what does not look so promising, and we do that in the areas that you can see on the slide up there. We changed it a little bit from mitigation because, you know, it's not quite the same. But actually, what you will see when you look at the technologies, that many of the technologies are actually crossover technologies, meaning that they both have benefits in terms of mitigation and adaptation. And I think that's actually a very important point, because it's nice to have this division, it's practical for funding and all that, but in reality, it doesn't always work like that. So just to show a little example here from one of my personal favorite areas of what we worked on this book here this year. So this is on livestock, and you know, livestock is one of the really big greenhouse gas emitters in the agricultural sector, and they are that because of methane emissions, and there are actually a lot of solutions coming out on that. So basically what you can do, you can reduce the methane emission from the stomachs of the animals, you can increase productivity, and you can eat less meat. And if you look at it here, we got a lot of technologies in the book that actually proposes feed supplements to bring down the emissions or replace meat with alternative meat and all these kind of things. And it's just continuing and continuing. Now, the Green Technology book looks like this. When you get to it, you will be presented with 2 editions, and we get into it. There are some chapters explaining trends and so on, but the real thing about the book is actually when you get into the 3 chapters on cities, agricultural land use, and industry. And this is where you can then find the technologies in there. We have them split into various subsections, as you can see there. And then when you open that, you will see various technologies. And there are, as I said, only 200 in this book, but there are many more available. And when you then open them, you will see a closer description of that, and you will also see a link to the database where you can get more information. I'll get to that. So it's very varied. You can see I chose here 3 very different technologies, one about agrovoltaics, one about cities, and one about iron production. And that's because these are, of course, the sectors that we focus on. Now, I said that it's a living document and that we have more in there than we show in the book. And those you can find in something called the Green Book collection on the WIPO Green database. I'll explain what the database is in a few minutes, but basically the technology collection in there is where we collect a lot more than we have room for in the book. And when you go to it, it looks like this, and there you can see all the technology fields from last year, the ones from this year, or more the adaptation edition and the mitigation edition, and they keep on being alive. So we keep on adding technologies, for example, to the adaptation edition, so that it stays up to date. And when you go into it, you can see here, as usual, as we do in the book, we have split it into 3 categories: the proven, the frontier, and the horizon technologies, where proven is the stuff that has been on the market for a while. It's several years. We know how it works. It's there. It's well proven, right to the take. Then we have the frontier, so they're also available. They're on the market, but they're new and therefore not quite so well tested. And then we have the horizon, which is technologies that not in 10 years' time, but in the next few years, but we expect that they will be available. So that's how we split it in, and all that can be found in here. Now, the database, which hosts this collection and which is linked to this, is then where you can then actually get in contact with the companies. Now, we have created in WIPO Green this database here. It's a free UN-based public resource, a database. And it has a number of AI-based automatic functions for doing matchmaking automatically. You can get email alerts about all that. And you can upload for free to it and thereby be part of the whole thing. So we have around 129,000 articles in it. Most of it is patent applications. They're not necessarily the most easy thing to work with, and you can't really see if it's on the market, but we have developed a special search function which will help you in that. Try it out. But the most important thing we have in it is almost 4,000 user uploads. So these are companies that has uploaded themselves or that we have uploaded for. So these are actual solutions that are on the market, that are available, that can be put to good use. Basically, if you have a solution or if you have a need and you're looking for a solution, you can register for free and you can upload completely for free, and it'll be part of the database. If it's relevant for the Green Technology book, we will move it into the collection of the Green Technology book. So you can be part of this matchmaking. If you're a company, you can be part, you can get free advertising basically what you're doing. And we basically do this because we want to help innovation and technology get out there and show that it can be part of the solution. And again, for this green technology book, all the technologies in there, we don't have an affiliation with any other companies. These are not the only solutions that are there. They're not the best ones either. We never claim that because we don't test it, but they're examples of what can be done. And then in the database, you can find much more. When you go into the database, this is what it looks like. Very simple search and a lot of filters that you can go for. And when you open a technology, it looks like this. And if you look down in the bottom left corner, you will see that there are two icons there. One of them is to visit the website of the company. So this is directly linked to the website of the company that are in there. And the other one is a contact form. So if you want to contact the company, then you can fill in this form and then it'll send a message to the company. If they want to respond to you, they do that. After this, we are kind of out of the communication, then you can take it up bilaterally. And we would be very happy to learn if anything interesting came out of that, because otherwise we wouldn't know. So basically, this is what I had to say about the Green Technology book. We will do an official launch here at the end of this session today. And as I said, it's completely free. It should be available right now. Our good colleagues in IT and communication should have put it all online right now. So the QR codes that you saw on the screen should also hopefully work so that you can go and explore it. And if you want to be part of it, it's all just a matter of uploading to our database and be in there. Thank you very much, Ina.
Thank you, Peter. And I really appreciated your message that we are by no means saying that technology is the solution.
Focus area in the future too. So it's a kind of a series of books which we are looking at. The Climate Technology Center and Network is honored to contribute to this collaboration, highlighting the transformative power of innovation in addressing climate challenges. We bridge the gap between the critical need for climate solutions and their practical implementation across both the developed and the developing countries. The CTCN, as the implementing arm of the technology mechanism, promotes technology transfer. Information is found on the database which my colleague from WIPO had just displayed. And this database is also of immense help to us when we start, and we know this partnership is existing since 2014 or even earlier between the CTCN and WIPO. And when we started as CTCN and started developing our own database, we had to look to, at that point of time, the database which was existing in WIPO. Now definitely the green technology database which is now present is improved. It has been revised a number of times. It has included elements of artificial
natural disturbances such as fires, floods, storms, and succession. Now these are technologies that are there and and for this, focus has to be put on approaches that could accelerate the uptake of land restoration technologies and imprint in large degraded areas or cases where growing plants locally is unfeasible. Therefore, government policies should be established to maintain genetic diversity seeds for land restoration.
We also know that we still need $700 billion per year to be flowing into biodiversity projects to halt and reverse the biodiversity damage that's happened to date. And we're using rewilding techniques to bring back more wildlife to their land. Anyone out there who's responsible for land or directly or indirectly to leverage restore to get visibility for the work that you're doing. And these are just some few examples of the kinds of organizations that use the platform as well. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. So I'm extremely proud of this first panel because we are 60 seconds ahead of time. which is a huge achievement. And it's good news because actually it means that we have an extra minute for our Q&A session. So we now have 11 minutes for Q&A, and I believe that Shinar has a microphone that she'll be walking around.
When we talk about land stewardship and ecosystem restoration and repair, it's not an easy thing to do. There's no guarantees. But if we can be transparent about what we're attempting to do, be transparent about what's working and also what's not working, and share those learnings with others.
And we will have Mr. Per Anderson, who is the head of the Secretariat of Lead It. So you each have, I need to shave a little bit of your time, so can we say 4 minutes each? So Ms. Sun Young, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to meet all of you, some of you for the first time, some of you again. Good afternoon. My name is Sun Young Seo. I'm a clean tech innovation expert working with UNIDO, and it's my privilege to be part of this discussion. Congratulations on the launch of this book. And I think it's a great showcase of how UN is collaborating collectively to bring solutions for climate action. Today I'm representing Mr. Alois Muklanga, who is the Chief of Climate Technologies Innovation Unit at UNIDO. And we are here to amplify the message of this book that solutions do exist. They are ready for the market, and they need to be scaled up and deployed. So we are happy to be here to stand behind this message. I have the privilege to highlight some of UNIDO's work on overall climate action. So one of UNIDO's priority areas is to limit climate breakdown by using renewable energy solutions and energy efficiency measures. And given that industry is one of the largest greenhouse gas emitters, we use this fact to turn it around and think of the industry as actually the largest potential customer of clean tech solutions. So we look at the private sector as both the provider of clean tech solutions, climate solutions, and also the consumers, the clients of clean tech solution. And this is our approach. This is UNIDO's philosophy behind climate action. And because developing countries are often comprised of SMEs, and UNIDO's mandate is for industrial development, which means working with SMEs in the private SMEs for private sector development. We have, for example, a UNIDO initiative called the Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, which is a clean tech specific business accelerator that works with entrepreneurs and innovators at very early stages of innovation, and we walk with them through the TRL journey so that they become closer and closer to commercialization. And I'd like to claim that our work, the program that I just mentioned, has been live for about 10 plus years, and as of now, we are a network of 16 countries. So I'd like to claim that the 600 solutions that are showcased in this book, hopefully our work contributed to it so that they are now closer to becoming market ready and deployment ready. How much more time?
2 minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Then perhaps I can just use this time to highlight that UNIDO has also been a very strong supporter of the technology mechanism in general. So many of you are aware that UNIDO has been a partner for CTCN, and I have figures here that say UNIDO has managed about 46% of the total CTCN program budget to date. So we're very proud to have supported the CTCN in this way, and we are of course very closely working with the tech committee, and we hope to further collaborate on the tech activities going forward as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sun. You win the prize for keeping to good time, so thank you so much for that. And I now hand over to Per, who is the head of the Secretariat at Lead IT.
Thank you.
Per.
We haven't met.
That Per.
Thank you, and I promise to be as short as well. A lot of pressure on the timekeeping. First of all, congrats to all the WIPO team and the Green Technology Book. Super, we are big fans of WIPO, so go for it. The Leadership Group for Industry Transition was created in the UN Climate Summit 2019. Today, 18 member states and 20 member companies Ultimately, one net zero goal for 2050 for the industry. Last Friday, the Prime Minister of India and Sweden announced the second phase of Lead It, and one of 3 pillars with technical co-development. So we are here to listen and see where we can find partners in all strands of this. We know that our companies, I saw there was one cement company here after this, but they are using, license, patent, and IP rights in different ways. They're acting in different ways between themselves and when they are reaching out. In our sector, which is nowadays predominantly steel and cement, these are sectors where high lock-in effects for carbon emission if you get the investment decision wrong. So we see it as our mission to partner with anyone, but what we have to do is to make that breakthrough technology travel faster. And however we do that is not maybe less of importance, but we know that in both steel and cement sectors, there are many of the breakthrough technologies are still in demonstration, pilot phase, maybe more so nowadays in cement and steel. We know that there's a high risk premium to invest in emerging developing economies. There's a lot to be done still, and often it's a partnership between governments and companies. But I think I stopped there, so maybe I win a prize for timekeeping.
You do win a prize. You can have my water bottle.
Thank you.
And it's fantastic to have you here, Per, because of course you represent the businesses, you represent the industry that we are so very much hoping will use these solutions that are featured in the Green Technology book and in the database. But you also represent the industry that's helping to innovate these solutions. So you are on all sides, and that's why we're really delighted you were able to be with us today. And that's the perfect transition, because now I will go to our innovators who will be making their interventions from the floor, 3 minutes each, to tell us about what is your company's innovation and how is it being used. So I'd like to start first with Ms. Karen Scrivener, who is a professor of laboratory and construction material at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. And yes, I'm working in cement, but I'm not a cement company. And the interesting thing about our technology, which we're very pleased could feature in this book, is that we've done this in a completely open domain. So we really felt at the beginning this is only going to have an impact if it can be taken up by any company in the world. And there's a lot of barriers because there's a lot of inertia in this industry. So even when you give people the technology for free, then they still don't want to do it. You have to really, twist their thumbs, so to speak. But I'm very pleased to say I just came for an event over the street, and we had 4 companies there presenting this well beyond demonstration stage. We're talking about producing millions of tons per year. It has the potential to be adopted in something like 2/3 of cement plants worldwide. So we're getting there slowly, but we're really seeing that these first movers are just the tip of the iceberg, and we know there are a lot of people coming behind them. So the idea of this, as you see up here, is just we can replace half or even more of what's called clinker, which is the CO2 producing component, with a combination of calcined clay and limestone. And the good thing about calcined clays is they are super widely available throughout the world, particularly in those countries where construction is going to expand in the coming decades, like Africa and India. And that's what's important, because we need, with construction and embodied energy, to get in there before the buildings are built. If you look at China, well, kind of everything got built already, and you can't do much about the embodied CO2 in that. So, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen. And I note that the technology you just spoke about is featured on the WIPO Green Database and also in the Green Technology book. Then I hand over to Josh Whale, who is from Ampersand, and he will discuss his electric motorbike battery swap innovation.
Hi, good. Thank you so much, and it's such an honor to be in the WIPO Innovation Green Innovation book, sorry. especially because I used to be an intellectual property lawyer myself in China, which is where I originally got the inspiration for the idea. And the idea was to put a vehicle on the road that was genuinely for a mass market segment, not a high-end vehicle for wealthy consumers, but really at the mass market level, that was simply cheaper to acquire and cheaper to operate from day one. And so what we did some technology innovation. We have a market-leading battery pack that is built for reliability and cost per kilometer, and is also and uniquely so. So we run these from battery swapping stations in Kenya and Rwanda. We're currently covering about 1.2 million kilometers every week, and we have another. We're about to double our fleet size to around 2,800 vehicles next month. This has a direct social impact, obviously. The whole point was to make it cheaper for drivers, so they're saving money on their operating costs by 35%. That equates to a doubling of take-home income for most of our customers. We're currently earning 36% gross margin. We actually reached that with just 1,300 vehicles on the road in Rwanda. We're heading towards EBITDA positive next year. This contrasts, interestingly, I think, with a lot of e-mobility companies in the global north that are valued at $700 million and billions of dollars, and they are nowhere near those unit economics. I think what we can share and what we've learned from this is, from the very beginning, a strong focus on technology, and as a result, we have now interest from outside of Africa. It's not very often that technologies like this is exported from Africa to the rest of the world, but we have now some very strong inquiries from India and from South America. I think that the proximity to the customer as well, not developing something in another continent for Africa, but actually doing it on the ground day by day directly with customers, and has been also a key lesson for us. And I think overall, what was interesting, and if I can offer, on the note of inspiration, is the focus on unit economics, because what didn't make sense yesterday with technology prices as they were will make sense tomorrow, or it already makes sense today. But it does take entrepreneurs to actually go out and identify those opportunities and bring those potential realities to fruition. And I would like to also just highlight that only 3% of climate capital currently goes to Africa, even though it's 14% of the population. Will be 2.5 billion people by 2050 out of 9 billion people. So there's definitely a disconnect, and as all my fellow startup entrepreneurs can attest, there's a real shortage of capital. It's very tough out there for startups working in sub-Saharan Africa to raise money right now. So what we need is capital deployed at scale and speed. So I hope you send a copy of the book to all of the venture capital, all of the VCs in Silicon Valley, and ask them, prod them, why are you not investing more in Africa? What are you afraid of? And as in the international institutions like GCF are also innovating in, is to what can we do at the multilateral level to switch the math for the remaining part and get you in DFVCs. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And maybe we can go halvesies on the postage for that, sending the book to all the, yeah. I would now like to hand over to Mr. Seung-Jin Cho, who is the CEO of the Green and Seed Corporation, who will speak to us about his seed film cultivation innovation.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Seung-Jin Cho, the CEO of the Green and Seed Corporation, and thank you so much for giving me a great opportunity to present my technology in here. So, I'd like to talk about the conventional rice farming program and how to overcome that problems with our technology. So, traditional rice farming grow rice in water. In order to grow rice in water, the construction of the good irrigation facilities such as dams, reservoirs, and waterways is essential. And even with the good irrigation facility, 3,000 liters of water for 1 kilogram of rice is needed. To make matters worse, when rice is grown in water, the anaerobic decomposition of organic materials emits a huge amount of methane. However, rice is not an aquatic plant. It doesn't have to be grown in water. So if the main reason rice is grown in water is to control weeds. Without water, aerobic weeds dominate the field, leaving little rice to harvest. That's the reason the average yield of irrigated field is 5 tons. On the other hand, the average yield of rain-fed field is only 1 ton. So if weeds can be controlled, rice should be grown outside the water to save a lot of water and mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions. So our solution is seed film cultivation. Seed film cultivation is a new sowing method using seed-attached biodegradable film. So our process is, there's the machine called seed attacher. It's literally attached the seed to the biodegradable film. And afterwards, the mulcher towed by tractor spread out the seed film and cover the seed film with soil. And while installing the drip irrigation and fertilizer under the film. So in these pictures, you can see the black thing, that is the seed film, and we covered the seed film with soil. And when we cover the film, the lower side of the film becomes like greenhouse, where the seed can easily germinate and grow well. And the film not only control weeds, but also prevent the loss of moisture, warmth, and fertilizer. So we can grow rice in upland rain-fed without filling the water, without sacrificing yield. So we are having a project in South Korea, China, and dry season of Vietnam, and we are also having a project in Dubai. So I'd like to, I'm also part of the CTCN members, and I'd like to have a project in, especially in Africa region, because the staple food in Africa is rice, especially in the west side of Africa. But most of the African countries cannot afford to build a good irrigation facility. Even with the good irrigation facility, the water source to fill the water in excessive water is really difficult. So I'd like to implement our technology in the African continent to achieve the self-sufficient rice in the African continent. Thank you so much.
You did. Thank you, Sung-jin. And now to our final innovator, Ms. Erica Johnson, who's the Sustainability Affairs Officer of Agrina, and she will speak to us about her soil carbon platform for farmers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us and for including Agrina into the Green Technology Book of 2023. We're in a situation right now where global greenhouse gas emissions from the food and agriculture sector account for more than 1/4 of our emissions. But fortunately, well, actually, the consequence of not taking action on this is that we're not going to meet the global targets of the Paris Agreement, and without carbon removals, we're not going to meet net zero targets. But fortunately, we're in a position where the food and agriculture sector is really able to step in as part of the solution. So by rehabilitating our soils and carbon stocks, we're able to move forward with removing CO2 from the atmosphere, storing it in our soils, but also contributing to biodiversity benefits, as well as long-term food security and more nutritious food for the people of the world. Agrina supports the transition to regenerative agriculture practices which restore our soils and leveraging both finance and technology. So we've developed a farmer-friendly platform where farmers can log in and make annual plans of how they plan to harvest each year, and beyond that, calculate what they're able to generate over that year with a scientific methodology aligned to the world's leading international voluntary carbon market standard and the latest IPCC guidelines, working on the back end. I think one of the most important things for us in recognizing that while we have a lot of complex calculations and things happening on the back end, that in order for farmers actually to uptake technology, that you need to make it user-friendly and easy to access. So we now are combining both satellite technology and with remote sensing capabilities and ground truth data, soil sampling, to calibrate data at scale. So using a model and measure approach, we've been able to expand our program beyond working just within Denmark, but now in 17 countries throughout Europe, from the UK to Ukraine. We've been able to deliver for 1,000 farmers, been able to support them with the finance and transitioning to regenerative agriculture practices, and accounting for both GHG reductions and also CO2 removals. We've been able to deliver 600,000 tons of GHG reductions and impact in just 2 short years. So thank you very much for including us and for having us as part of the event.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you to all of our innovators who just stood up and presented their innovations. And in the 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, it is my very great pleasure to provide a copy of this year's Green Technology books to the 2 entities that comprise UNFCCC's technology mechanism, and of course they are the Technology Executive Committee and CTCN, and this is so important for us that we put these books in your hands, because not only have you contributed, but also you and your members and UNFCCC, as well as the nationally designated entities, are some of our key audiences, and we hope very much that this is of use and useful and will be used.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who is a part of the session, and enjoy the rest of COP.